So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another anniversary album review of The Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector. And today, as you can see, I'm joined by JC Rock and Metal Reviews and Senorita Sabrosura. And we haven't done one of these like in a long time. So, first of all, how are you guys today?
Doing good. Thanks.
I'm good.
Good. So today we're here because we're gonna talk about the 30th anniversary of this album, Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins, which I own on vinyl, the special edition. And on July 27th, this album is turning 27 years old. So we're here.
30.
Oh my God. On July 27th, it's turning 30 years old.
30. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, but I said the 27. So yeah, 30 years old. This came out in 1993. So what we'll do in this video is like we'll talk about like our first impressions when we listen to the album. We'll obviously talk about the singles and why this album was so important. And then we'll pick our favorite songs, and we should also pick our favorite deep cut from the album. Since this album, you know, obviously the hits are the hits, but we'll pick deep cuts, and at the end we'll obviously say if this has held up 30 years later. So today let's start with Senorita Sabrosura. So Senorita, what were your first impressions of listening to Siamese Dream?
Well, I don't remember when was the first time I listened, but I know I immediately like it. For me, this is one of their best albums. This like there's not another album like this one in if in all the albums they made. Uh I remember listening a lot to the singles, but also not the singles, like the deep cuts. So what can I say? I like it immediately.
Yeah, I think it has. This is those album that has that tone, that Siamese dream tone to it. So, what about? Obviously, you didn't hear to it when it listened because you were probably being born when it came out. No, I'm kidding.
No, well, I was 11 years, so you do the math.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, what about you, JC? I know you did listen to this when it came out.
Yeah, I listened to it when it came out. I was still in college. I think I was in my last year, and we had this grunge band with my friends, and we played a bunch of covers. I think we played three songs. I believe it was Cherub Rock, Today, and Disarm, and that's why I always loved the song. Like the band we were in, it was just like a short-lived thing. We played like one show, like in front of like the dorms, but it was pretty cool. We had a pretty big crowd and everything. It was fun, so that's why I've always really loved this album. I think this is probably my favorite because I know I never listened to Gish like that one. Like this is the first album of the Smashing Pumpkins I ever listened to, and I was really into it. And then when Melancholy came out, I was happy. After that, I kind of like lost touch with them. But I think this is my number one. No, I recently did a ranking. This is just like and almost like a perfect album because I think like every song, even the deep cuts, are just really good. So yeah, it was one of my favorites of the year back in '93.
Yeah, so I also did listen to this when it came out back in 1993, and I even remember when I bought the album. I went to a store in Puerto Rico. I think it's called Casa de los Tapes. And
Wow.
yes, and I went to buy. Originally, I was going to buy Beck Mellow Gold. So I went in to buy that album because I listened to the Loser song, but I heard something Smashing Pumpkins. But I saw this cover, and I don't know why. I saw this cover and I thought something. There was something that drew me to it, and the name. So I decided to buy this instead of Beck, and I'm glad I did because Beck Mellow Gold is good, but I'm not. This is not like I love this album. This is sometimes I go back from Siamese Dream to Melancholy, but I still think that this would be number one, just because Melancholy, even though it's great, it could have like a tiny filler if if you think about it, because it's a huge old album, and I'm mad because Senorita Sabrosura got it on vinyl, and I still haven't found it. So she bought she has Melancholy right there on the Infinite Sadness on vinyl, and I'm looking for that one. Yes. So she got it, and I'm looking for it, but I do have this one.
Yeah, I'm still looking for Siamese Dream.
Yes, you're still looking for Siamese Dream. Actually, when I first started collecting vinyl, I think this was one of the first albums I got. But yeah, it wasn't that cheap because it was the special edition, but I did find it. And yeah, I remember I bought the album, and the first song I listened to it was I think I listened to Share of Rock on 120 Minutes. That show on MTV was so great. They played so many alternative bands from back in the day, and that was the first time that I heard Smashing Pumpkins. But the song that really got me into them was Today. And do you guys remember that music video with the ice cream?
Yes, of course.
It's so iconic, and I was actually watching the video today, and that video was kind of horny. like well, if you listen to the song Today, the song is about him talking about like having sex for the first time, and then on the video he's like driving the ice cream truck, and you see people in the mountains doing things. Yeah, there's some different things about the song. Yeah, but Senorita's like, really? I'm like, yeah, just look at the video. And he's in the ice cream truck. But yeah, it was a great music video back when MTV had a great music video. So yeah, I did listen to it when it came out. So let's talk now favorite tracks and obviously deep cuts that we love. Let's go with you, Senorita.
Well, I remember listening to Share of Rock a lot. Like, it's the perfect opener. It's so much energy. You can hear Billy Corgan whining and screeching, but at the same time, it leaves so much energy in that song. And I was watching the release party of the album. They did it back in 1993 when the album came out in Metro here in Chicago, and people were going crazy for a new album. Like, so much energy, especially with that song. Disarm, of course. I know it's overplayed, but for me, I think that's my favorite song from them. And I play it a lot. Like, I like how it starts with the church bells and the acoustic guitar, keeping the pace with Billy's voice. And I love the lyrics, like, disarm me with a smile and cut you like you want me to. I know that song was banned in some countries because it says something about cut the child. But I like it. Yeah, I read that. I like it. The killer in me, it's the killer in you.
And you know, when I saw them in Miami,
lyrics.
When I saw them in Miami, they opened with that song, the concert.
Wow. Today, you said it's about having sex for the first time. I always thought, and I read, and Billy said in an interview, it's a song about suicide.
There's like parts of it, but yeah. But also, it could be about both things, like maybe. Like,
Today was the first song I listened from this album. Because I saw the video, like you said, it's an iconic video. It's a very classic, and MTV played that video a lot. And I read it was the first song that Billy Corgan wrote after his writer's block. He was like having a hard time. because they had so much pressure because they had to do the new Nevermind. And he had writer's block, and this was the first song he wrote after his writer's block, like he was obsessed with killing himself, or at least writing and singing about killing himself. And for a deep cut, I don't know if it's a deep cut or not, but for me, it's a very underrated song, Mayonnaise.
That's my favorite song from Smashing Pumpkins ever.
Well, and my husband's favorite song too from Smashing Pumpkins. I think this album is flawless, but I think the greatest moment on the album it's in this song.
Yeah, I like that song has I love the intro, the the guitar that they use, and when it comes back, and those lyrics are really about like he just wants there's a part where he screams that he just wants to be me. So I remember like listening that in high school and being kind of like in the weird kid groups because I didn't like
Me too.
I didn't like Eros Ramazzotti. I'm sure JC is like, Eros, who? Well, back in it was this Italian singer, and everyone liked it, and everyone liked like the rap and stuff, something in the island. So I was in a weird group of the kids that like the music that they said the weirdo music. So yeah, I was in the weirdo type of music. At least in Puerto Rico. Maybe I don't know so much in the States, but in Puerto Rico, if you listen to that music, you're kind of weird. So yeah,
so it's very empowering, like when he said let me be me.
Yeah, that's a great song. And actually when they when I saw them in Miami and they played that song, I was like, yo, I was so excited when they played that song. It was a great concert. So yeah, so JC, your favorite tracks and your favorite deep cut of the album.
Yeah, well, obviously the singles, those are the ones that I actually talked about when I was in that band. We played the Cherub Rock, Disarm in 2 days. So those ones I'll always love. I definitely like Mayonnaise. I wouldn't really consider that a deep cut. That's like one of those songs that really got very popular, I guess, afterwards. I don't know if it was a single. I don't think it was. Did they release a single? Let me check. No, but yeah, they didn't release a single, but
no, but it was
it's a
a
popular
song that
song.
everyone liked to play. Everyone liked to listen live.
There's this like show on Netflix called Beef. It's about like these two people, and they kind of get into like this road rage, and they keep like trying to like go after each other. It's pretty cool. It's like maybe like 10 episodes, and at the end of every episode, they play like this song from like the alternative days. They'll play like Incubus or like different songs from the 2000s. Now, in the last episode of the last show, they play like Mayonnaise, like during the credits. So I thought that was like really cool. I mean, I won't spoil the show, but if you watch like the whole thing, then at the end, like they play Mayonnaise. So that's why I really like that song. Other than that, as far as deep cuts, I'll say Space Boy. I like that one. It's another one of those like ballads. It's just like it's pretty cool. I like the instrumentation on it, like composition. They do the singing. I think Space Boy is a good one, and that one where they have like the other one, Hummer. That's a good one. I like that, like the like guitar sound.
That has like the Middle Eastern,
yeah, Hummer. I think that I'm looking at the page. It says that they use like an electric sitar. Like I really like that sound. I think like the best thing about this album in general is just like the guitar tone. Like it just has that like specific tone, and like as soon as you hear it, like it's like them. Like they really got that down.
Oh yeah,
So those are my picks. Yeah.
Nice. So for me, I love Mayonnaise, and I can agree with JC. I don't know, maybe if it's a deep. It wasn't a single, but it's a very popular song by them, and it's my favorite Smashing Pumpkins song of all time. I already talked about it on video, so I'm sure people know by now. But obviously, I love the singles today. Disarm is a great song. Uh, Luna, which ends the album, it ends the album very beautiful, like where the I'm in love with you. That's a very beautiful song to end the album. And one song that is very rocking and doesn't get talked about enough is Quiet. The second song on the
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that song has some of that quiet. It's great.
yeah. I like that guitar sound. Yeah,
And obviously the one that's very Gig USA, that's
yeah,
great too. That one goes through like it starts slow, but then it has like some great guitar riffing on it. So it's just a flawless album from beginning to end. I don't think this album has a weak track, in my opinion. So since everyone watching this, this is not a Is It That Bad video. So obviously this is a good album. So now we talk about our final thoughts. How is that held up? And something that I think we need to discuss is obviously it was produced by Butch Big.
Yes.
And this was like his second album after Nevermind. So this proved that
yeah,
Butch Big wasn't a one-hit record producer, because he did two amazing classic albums in a row and two very different sounding albums, if I may say.
Yes.
So what are your final thoughts, Senorita, and how has this obviously held up 30 years later?
Well, I read that this album was over budget a quarter of a million. And and it was like a very tedious process. And Butch Big like let Billy, like he wanted to do 50 takes of one song, he let him do the 50 takes. But and then there were like the drummer was struggling with drugs, and Darcy and James Ehad, they broke up, so there was a lot of problems and struggles. But I think they managed to channel all that in this album, and it's like you said, almost a flawless album. They channel everything in something very beautiful, and it's a landmark. So after 30 years, it's still a great album. It stood the test of time.
Yeah. And something that we may add, so the Green Man will be happy, it has some shoegaze elements, this album. Yeah, because if I don't mention that, he'll be like, you need to mention that it did have some shoegaze elements. So yeah. So yeah, for Senorita, it has stood the test of time. What about you, JC? I think this is a no-brainer.
yeah. It definitely stood the test of time. I mean, I think this is an album I would give it a 10 out of 10. I mean, I think it's just a flawless album. Every song is great. There's no weak songs. I think I can listen to it start to finish. It's like in the early 90s, they had those long albums, so it's like over an hour long. But even still, it's just every song is good. And I think like they came close to like making another great album with the Melancholy album. But I think that one was also impressive because that's like 2 hours, or like 2.5 hours, and it's like there's like almost no filler, only like a little filler. That's kind of hard to do. But this is like just, it says here 62 minutes, just like every song is just great. So yeah, I go back to this a lot. I think it's just one of my favorites of the era, like the early 90s alternative scene. So yeah, this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And yeah, this is all the lyrics that they had. So it's pretty similar to the original album. So yeah, for me, 30 years later, this album has also held up. It's a classic album, classic alternative sounds, and the songs have aged really well. I think I can still read these lyrics and feel the same feelings that I felt when I was in my teens and I listened to this for the first time. So yeah, 30 years later, still their magnum opus. So we want to know from you people, what do you think of Melancholy? What do you think of Siamese Dream 30 years later? Has it held up for you? And what are your favorite tracks? Comment. We want to know. And also, we want you to let us know which albums we would like. My daughter's here. That's the voice you're hearing. We want to let you guys know what albums would you like us to like reviewing anniversaries in the future. Let us know, like on the comments, what else would you like us to talk about? Maybe some more 90s albums. So people, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to JC Rock and Metal Reviews channel. He does some great reviews, album rankings, and he's a regular on the Is It That Bad video. Senorita, we need you. We would have you on one of the episodes. We filmed it too early. And I know you don't like
you film it too early. I'm not a morning person.
Yes, and you don't like to talk about bad
and even less on a Sunday.
Yes, we always do it on a Sunday, yeah. So, and again, you can subscribe to Senorita Sabrosura too and buy her merch at sabrosura.art. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to me. We've already hit the 800 plus subscribers. So the race for 1,000K subscribers is on. So I want to thank all the new subscribers. So until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Duna Couch, and we'll see you all on another anniversary album review. Thank you and good night.